Hello, I'm back to share another recipe that's super popular at the cafe I worked at. This is a different book. New book. So this was the last book that I made actually. These are Oreo cookie bars. So these were, again I say this about all the recipes, however these were really popular, particularly with kids. However, don't get me wrong, the adults love them too. I love them. What I love about this recipe is it's extremely versatile. You can make it how you like it. I'm doing Oreo today because that's what I've got on hand. However, you can do Biscoff, Nutella, whatever you want. Keep it plain, triple chocolate, just whatever you like. So what I love about this recipe is that you probably get more of like the middle of the cookie compared to like regular round cookies because it is done in a tray bake. So you get that nice crunchy outside and then the softer middle bit, more of that going throughout, which is what I love in a cookie. I love like the really flat underbaked ones, they're my favourite. My recipe is based on another one and I didn't write down who it was, however I'd like to credit where I can. So I scoured the internet, I typed in cookie, all the ingredients in it, trying to find who it was, and I did find it. The original recipe is by J. Kenji Lopez. So with this recipe, it's with brown butter, which I have done a tutorial on how to. It's somewhere on here, I think it's with a brown butter recipe, or I've got TikTok, there's one on there as well. With brown butter, what we're doing is evaporating the water out the butter and then burning the milk solids. This recipe is slightly different in the fact that we want to replace the water that we lost during this process. So we want to add in about 2 tablespoons of water. What I like to do is add in ice. What this does is basically it helps cool the brown butter a little bit quicker because it can take quite a long time to cool. You can just use water as well, that's perfectly fine to do that. So with my brown butter, it's just finished now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip it into the bowl, add the ice and then sort out everything else. I do have to note when you add the ice to the brown butter, it sometimes can almost fizz up. So I would actually do this in a bigger bowl than what I've done it in. In a separate bowl, we're going to add our brown sugar, caster sugar and vanilla. I'm using vanilla paste today. And then we add in the cooled brown butter. A good tip for when you're mixing stuff by hand, put a tea towel underneath the bowl. So when mixing this, we just want it to come together. It's going to look separated, but that's fine. Then we add in the eggs. Give that a good mix, and now it should start to come together. It looks like it's emulsified. Then we add in plain flour, bicarbonate soda and salt. So we're mixing this until most of the flour is incorporated. A few little streaks of flour is perfectly fine. I've got my Oreos here. So what I've done is I've roughly chopped about half of them, and then the other half I've kind of chopped even further so they're a lot finer. I like doing this because with the finer pieces you get them more throughout, so you get the Oreo flavour with every bite, and then the larger chunks you get the nice Oreo crunch from it. I just find this is overall a really nice balance compared to just doing it all one way. So I've got 300 grams of Oreos here. If I was going to be putting a spread in as well, I'd probably put in about 200 grams of Oreos. So if I was doing a Biscoff one and I had Biscoff spread in the middle, I'd only be using about 200 grams of Biscoff biscuits. Obviously you can put more in if you want to. You can put in as much stuff in as possible where you can barely move the cookie dough. That's perfectly fine, this is just how I like it. So now time to fold in the Oreos. We want to do them until they're fully incorporated, distributed throughout the whole dough. Now it's ready to put in our grease and lime tin. This is a 8 by 11 inch tin. If you're planning to put a spread in the middle, I would put in half the cookie dough, warm up the spread so it's easier to pour over, and then do chunks of the rest of the cookie dough on top, then pat it down gently. It will spread out a little bit while it cooks, but we still want it to be roughly covering the spread. So this is what it looks like. The dough is very soft at the moment, so it's very easy to spread, which I like. Now it's got to go in the fridge. Ideally it should go in the fridge for at least a day. I think it just turns out nicer when you just leave it for everything just to meld together a little bit. If you don't want to wait that long, I would still wait for like an hour or so. At this stage you can freeze this as well. Just cover it very well with cling film. If you are freezing it, I would personally defrost it first again in the fridge, leave it for a day. It does turn out a lot better when you bake it at fridge temperature. I'm going to cover this with cling film and then, yeah, leave it for a day or two until I want an Oreo cookie, basically. I've had this in the fridge for about a day now. It's been about 24 hours, which is perfect for this. It can be left longer as well. As you can see, it's not as soft as what it was. I can push into it. It's a lot more cookie dough-like now. This is perfect. So I'm going to bake this in the oven at 160 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. We want the top to form like a nice crust on top. Want it to colour just a little bit. Once it's done, leave to cool on a wire rack completely. Then when it's cool, put it in the fridge for a couple of hours just so it can set. I know there is a lot of patience involved with this recipe. I cut them up into 14 bars. So that's my Oreo cookie bar recipe. I really love these ones because they're really sugary. It's quite a simple process, it's quite a normal cookie dough. These are great for sharing, great for yourself, great with ice cream. This recipe is so versatile to how you would like to make it. Biscoff, Nutella, fruit, whatever you can put in a cookie, you can put into here. I've done s'mores, pretzels and caramel. The possibilities are really endless. I hope you enjoy. I hope someone makes these. Let me know what you did, whether you changed anything. I'm always up for new ideas. I love it, sharing ideas with people. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this.